What's up everybody? In today's video, we're diving back into the chaotic world of Saints Row to tackle the platinum for Saints Row III. I've been itching to revisit this series for a while now, and before continuing with the rest of the franchise, it felt fitting to return to the first Saints Row game that introduced a platinum trophy. I'll admit, I had some reservations about jumping back in, especially after getting the platinum for the remastered version of Saints Row III and then Saints Row IV, which completely changed up the gameplay formula. But after just a few hours of pure, unfiltered chaos, the magic of Saints Row III came rushing back, and I was more than ready to reclaim Steelport. This platinum has been nearly 13 years in the making, and I'm thrilled to finally share this journey with you all. Before diving into the video, let's quickly cover the trophies I had already unlocked in the PS3 version of Saints Row III. Back in 2011, the only two trophies I earned were story related. I'm pretty sure I used cheat codes during this playthrough, which disabled the rest of the trophies on my save file. I revisited the game almost 2 years ago where I unlocked another trophy, one that's a bit tricky to explain. The trophy, Jumped In, requires you to create and save a character online. The problem is the servers for this game are offline. While guides on PSNProfiles claim the trophy should still pop, I didn't find that to be the case. Thankfully there is a workaround, but it's a little convoluted. I followed a guide on the PSNProfiles forum that involved tweaking my DNS settings. It might seem a little sketchy at first glance, but the process was actually straightforward and didn't take long to set up. If you're still chasing this trophy, I highly recommend checking out that guide. This method also works for the Sanctified trophy in Saints Row IV on PS3. With all the setup out of the way, let's dive into the platinum journey proper, starting with the story.
Trust me, Burke, it'll be real.
You're robbing a bank dressed like yourselves.
Hell yeah. Who doesn't want to be Johnny Gat?
The adrenaline-packed opening mission sees the 3rd Street Saints robbing a bank in Stillwater. Things quickly spiral out of control when the Tellers and a new gang, the Morningstar, attack us, leading to an all-out brawl to the vault. Fending off some SWAT guys, we pull this enormous vault out of the building, all while dangling from a helicopter. It was a valiant fight, but the chopper crashes and we're arrested on the spot. Switching things up this time, I started my journey as a male boss, a choice that plays into the trophy gender equality, where I have to play as both a male and female character for 2 hours each. The Morningstar bails us out, but it comes at a cost. Unwilling to play by their rules, the Saints attempt a daring escape from the plane. Gat is unceremoniously killed in the chaos, but we dive headfirst into the new city of Steelport. Starting from the bottom, much of Act 1 focuses on rebuilding the Saints' reputation. A few missions in, we hit the game's most iconic moment, raiding a Morningstar penthouse. Once secured, the penthouse becomes our base of operations. The pacing slows a bit afterward as we're funneled into a series of activity-based missions, but it picks back up when Pierce devises a plan to take down the Morningstar. Hitting up a powder room leads to a showdown at Morningstar's headquarters. Fighting through hordes of enemies, we rescue a brute named Oleg, a prototype for a clone army being developed by Morningstar leader Philip Loren. He attempts to escape, but meets his end when we drop this giant ball on him. Here, the game presents the first of many major choices. Blow up the tower for a respect bonus, or disarm the bomb for a cash bonus. Both options unlock their own trophies, and I knew cash was the more appealing resource to me, so I blew up the building first.
When I left Stillwater for the Senate,
Before reloading an earlier save to disarm the bomb and claim the cash bonus.
I left Stillwater for the Senate.
This kicks off Act 2, which doesn't exactly start on the strongest note. After recruiting Kenzie, Zemos, and Angel to help take down Steelport's 3 main gangs, the next series of missions are essentially activities tied to each character. If you've watched my retrospective on Saints Row III, you'll know I'm not a big fan of this approach. For those who haven't, the TLDW is that it really drags down the pacing. Since activities aren't a requirement to play missions anymore, I can see why they were placed in the story instead, but it ended up being way too much during this act specifically. Once these missions were out of the way, this was the point in my journey where I made the switch to a female boss and teamed up with Zemos to take down the Morningstar. Since this gang runs prostitution and human trafficking rings, these missions lean heavily into the sexual nature of Saints Row III, like hooker assassins crashing Pierce's party or being auctioned off as a sex slave. This arc culminates in a dramatic rescue mission where we free some hoes and deliver the final blow to the Morningstar. The following mission introduces Stag, a technologically advanced paramilitary force. Fending them off at a strip club and taking their VTOLs for a spin, they end up using Josh Berg's Nightblade character to promote their agenda. Teaming up with Viola, we take him hostage when Stag retaliates by attacking our safe house. We defend the place in a chaotic firefight, and when given the option, I choose to return Josh to Stag. Despite giving them their mascot back, they blow up the safe house, setting the stage for their next move. Shifting gears to the Deckers, we infiltrate their world by stealing high-tech equipment and entering a Tron-inspired digital simulation. This mission stood out as one of the game's most unique, featuring quirky moments like lag effects and slowing us down as Matt Miller manipulates the simulation. The showdown against Matt was tough as he had the upper hand until Kinsey equipped us with a dragon avatar, turning the tide to take down Matt and the Deckers. Before tackling the final gang, the Luchadors, there's more trouble with Stag. They kidnap Shondi, which is where I come up with the brilliant plan to undergo plastic surgery and impersonate Stag leader, Cyrus Temple. After a daring rescue and blowing up Stag's aircraft, we stall their plans, but they strike back by locking down part of the city. Act 3 continues the fight against Stag. Destroying one of their planes, a bizarre chemical spill unleashes a zombie outbreak in Steelport. Teaming up with the late Burt Reynolds, we head to the quarantine zone, destroying the virus while battling hordes of zombies along the way. With the Luchadors in our sight, we prepare for Murder Brawl 31. Murdering Killbane's opponents in vehicular accidents and hyping up Angel by trashing a Luchador casino, the match is on. Defending Angel from outside the ring, he gets taken out surprisingly quickly. It's now up to us to step into the ring and take him down. After a glorious match, I chose to unmask him, ending both the Luchadors and the Syndicate altogether. The final mission kicks off a full-scale war across Steelport. Fighting Stag and the remaining Luchadors, I'm presented with two major choices: go after Killbane or save Shondi, Viola, and the Mayor. Each option unlocks its own trophy, so I decided to save my friends first. While this is the canon ending, I'm not a big fan of the mission that follows, so I wanted to get it out of the way. Battling a massive Stag force at Magarak Island, I remove bombs from the statue and kill Kia to rescue my friends while saving a treasured monument. The following mission is different. Set on the surface of Mars, we hunt down Killbane. After an okay boss fight, we deliver the killing blow, only to find out that this is just a movie. I don't know what it is, but something about this mission feels unsatisfying to me. With it finished though, this ends Act 3 in another way.
You know, after all this is over, I might get into politics.
While this mostly takes care of the story for Saints Row III, we have to rewind all the way back to the beginning before we end this game proper and get that platinum trophy. The backbone of the Saints Row series has always been its activities, and Saints Row III doesn't disappoint. Each activity comes with its own trophy, and many from previous games return, including classics like Insurance Fraud, Mayhem, Escort, and Trailblazing, just to name a few. However, this installment introduces some fresh additions that really stood out. Guardian Angel tasks us with protecting a homie from a helicopter while they handle business around town. Tank Mayhem is exactly what it sounds like. Classic Mayhem, but in a tank. Simple, chaotic, and incredibly fun. The crown jewel though is the new standout activity, Professor Genki's Super Ethical Reality Climax. This insane event throws us into a deadly obstacle course where we battle waves of mascots using a variety of weapons. Strategic shooting is key, as we aim for specific targets that reward us with health or cash bonuses. It's absurd, over the top, and easily one of my favorite additions to the series. I tackled these activities sporadically throughout my playthrough, earning their respective trophies along the way. Activities aren't the only thing you can dive into in the open world of Saints Row III. Hitman and Chop Shop return and are some of the best iterations of this mode. Let's start with Chop Shop, which, while improved from the previous games, isn't my favorite thing to do. Like before, vendors around Steelport request specific vehicles, ranging from sports cars, motorcycles, boats, and planes. There are 30 vehicles to deliver, but only 24 are available during Act 1. The remaining 6 unlock after the mission Gangbang when Stag enters the picture. The real challenge here isn't finding the vehicles, It's dealing with the heat you pick up while stealing them. Early on, the wanted levels are manageable, but as you progress, it becomes much harder to deliver these vehicles unscathed. Standout challenges for me included the Titan, the Peter Liner, and the Commander. The Titan and Peter Liner were incredibly slow, and I had to drive them across large stretches of the map. The Commander, on the other hand, was a nightmare because of the relentless barrage of boats and missiles. It took me nearly an hour to deliver just that one vehicle. Now, you might be wondering why I didn't just use the ability to clear police notoriety. To be honest, I don't know why. Once I finally did, delivering the Commander and other vehicles became much easier. After Stag's vehicles were unlocked in Act 2, I delivered the remaining ones, completing all 30 deliveries before the game ended. Assassinations were next and are by far one of my favorite diversions in the game. The concept remains unchanged. Travel to various parts of the map and eliminate different targets. However, the fun lies in how you lure them out. Some are straightforward, like stealing a luggage cart at the airport, calling a pizzeria, playing a certain radio station, while others are hilariously unique, like complimenting NPCs, getting plastic surgery, impersonating a chauffeur, and my personal favorite, streaking in front of a church. Unlike Chop Shop, there are 36 targets to take out. 21 are available in Act 1, 11 in Act 2, and the rest in Act 3. I tackled them as they unlocked, and since the final targets appeared so late in the game, this ended up being one of the last things I completed on my way to 100%. While working through activities, assassinations, and other diversions I'll get to shortly, I also took some time to hunt collectibles scattered across Steelport. When I played the remastered version, I spent hours tracking these down because I mistakenly thought the collectible finder only worked on the minimap. It wasn't until my Saints Row 4 Platinum that I realized they also show up on the full map. With that knowledge, I found the collectibles this time much faster. Within 30 minutes, I had collected 25% of them, and after an hour, I had every single collectible in the game.
You have witnessed perfection.
All the chaos and progress I had made up to this point earned me plenty of money and respect, which I poured into upgrading myself and my gang. Early in the game, I used my first batch of cash to purchase an upgrade. Later, during my war against the Morningstar, we claimed one of their strongholds and upgraded it to its full glory. By the time I entered Act 3, I had saved up enough to fully upgrade one weapon in each slot on my radial wheel. Speaking of weapons, I tackled a couple of miscellaneous trophies along the way. For Stay Classy Steelport, I had to kill 25 gang members using both the Penetrator and Fart in a Jar. The latter is just a fully upgraded flashbang, while the Penetrator, well, I'm pretty sure anyone who's even heard of this game knows what the Penetrator is. With my flashbangs upgraded, I wreaked havoc on the luchadors until I hit the 25 kill mark with both weapons.
Zod when it counts.
The other miscellaneous trophy was Ow My Balls, and it was I'm sorry. The other miscellaneous trophy was Ow My Balls, and it was the first one I unlocked during this playthrough. I just had to land my first nut shot and testicle assault, which I did pretty early. It's a ridiculous trophy, but hey, it wouldn't be Saints Row without a little absurdity. Next were the challenges, which elevate the diversion mechanics introduced in Saints Row 2 to new heights. These challenges encourage you to engage in activities you are already doing around Steelport, like hijacking cars, killing gang members, using human shields, surviving ambushes, or even just traveling in vehicles. With such a wide variety, completing all the challenges became one of the most extensive parts of my journey with Saints Row III. Thankfully, most of these challenges progress naturally as you play, but since this was my second time getting the Platinum, I wanted to prioritize the ones that don't come as easily. For some reason, the first challenge I decided to tackle was streaking for 600 seconds. From there, I worked through others like vehicle surfing, windshield cannon distance, wheelie distance, power slide time, taking hostages, and more. In total, there are 41 challenges, 30 available at the start, and 11 unlocking later in the game. Along the way, I also completed a few challenges that were tied to trophies, with the first one coming from hijacking 50 cars, Duke style. Using these vehicles to explore the map, I ultimately uncovered every hood in Steelport. The rest that I'm going to mention don't have a specific challenge, but tie into others, and this starts with killing 1,000 gang members, which came very naturally. Who Loves Ya Baby wanted me to kill 50 brutes. While the challenge itself only requires 30 kills, the related trophy demands 50. I won't complain though. After upgrading my weapons, these behemoths became much easier to take down. Since they don't show up often in the story, I had to raise my notoriety with each gang until brutes appeared. I was working on some other stuff to reach high notoriety, so these 50 kills also came naturally. Occasionally, while wandering the streets, I'd run into rival gangs, and what better way to show my appreciation than with a taunt? Or maybe I was feeling extra nice and threw out a compliment. For the love-hate relationship trophy, I had to perform 50 taunts and/or compliments on gang members. While there is a compliment challenge to complete, this applies to everyone rather than just gang members. Taunts were easier to track, so I stuck with those until the trophy eventually popped.
Hello, meeting new people.
One of the more tedious challenges required me to spend $20,000 upgrading vehicles. This takes a bit since vehicle upgrades aren't that expensive, but I was able to customize 10 vehicles in the process, which did unlock a trophy. Finally, there were the gang operations, marked locations around Steelport where we can find a small group of gang members. With 32 of them, I cleared them all during Act 3, finishing the last challenge and unlocking trophies for completing all challenges, and destroying all gang operations in the game. Most of what I've discussed tied into taking over parts of the city. In addition to activities and gang operations, you also need to buy stores, cribs, and properties. I did this whenever I felt like it, and it was usually the final thing I did to take over a district. While you can use the city takeover ability to instantly complete everything in the hood you choose, I only used it a couple of times. As I progressed, I fully took over Steelport district by district. First was downtown for Pierce, followed by New Colvin for Zemos, Stanfield for Kinsey,
You mean like going more than 5 blocks from your place?
and finally Carver Island for Angel, taking over the entire city of Steelport. This leaves us with a couple of time-related trophies. I hinted at the gender equality trophy earlier, and after I switched to a female halfway through, I got that trophy a couple of hours later.
Turn this one up, okay?
The other time-related trophy was 3rd and 30, where I had to play the game for 30 hours. Unlike my time with Saints Row 4, where I completed everything well before its 40-hour requirement, here I was just wrapping everything up when the trophy popped. This just leaves me with the final story-related trophy. Jumping back into 3-way, I went after Killbane, where we had our final showdown at the airport. Through a QTE sequence, we finished Killbane at the cost of saving our friends. This unlocked one final mission where Stag launched a full-scale assault on Steelport. My crew and I stormed the data list, planting bombs to honor those we had lost. Defeating Cyrus in his own VTOL, we destroyed the aircraft, forcing Stag out of Steelport for good. With the Syndicate and Stag defeated, Saints Row III's story came to an explosive end, giving me the final story-related trophy and the long-awaited Platinum trophy.
You have witnessed perfection.
Our journey with Saints Row III isn't over just yet. The game offers a wealth of DLC content, and while most of it consists of additional outfits and vehicles, 3-packs stand out by adding new story content and their own trophies to collect. With each DLC bringing 10 trophies, the total count jumps from 51 to 81. While that's a hefty addition, these DLCs are relatively short, so I was able to blaze through them at a good pace. Let's start with Genkibowl VII, which expands on the super ethical reality climax activity from the base game. This DLC brings back that wacky game show while introducing a few new chaotic activities. Starting with Reality Climax, this version introduces shark-infested waters as a new hazard. Naturally, I had to make the most of this, earning a trophy by tossing 5 mascots into the water. Beyond that, there wasn't much more to explore in this already fun activity, as the DLC only adds 2 instances, which I completed quickly. Next, we have super ethical PR Opportunity. which is essentially a reskin of the escort activity. Instead of protecting an ordinary client, we're escorting Professor Genki himself around Steelport. Chaos ensues as we mow down civilians with our vehicle or roast them with flamethrowers. Like Escort, hostile cars chase Genki, increasing his annoyance level if they get too close. However, the flamethrowers make short work of them, and I destroyed 5 pursuing vehicles during an instance of this activity. From there, I stuck with the flamethrowers to fire 50 pedestrians, though this turned out to be surprisingly time-consuming. The third activity is Sexy Kitten Yarngasm. God, where did they come up with this stuff? Imagine Tank Mayhem meets Katamari Damacy. You control a massive ball of yarn, rolling it through Steelport and causing as much destruction as possible. The premise is so ridiculous, I couldn't stop smiling the entire time. The yarn ball also has a slam attack, which I used to destroy a mouse ATV.
And the Saints head honcho is certainly going all out on this course.
Seconds later, I pulled off a combo worth $150,000.
Looks better this way.
The final activity is Sad Panda Skyblazing, which sees you donning a panda costume to dive through flaming rings while landing on rooftops to massacre mascots with a chainsaw. There are 3 trophies tied to this activity, and as much as I wanted to knock them all out in one go, the only one I got on my first run was landing on Magarek Island.
And now we've seen this Saint fly.
On my second attempt, I flew through every ring with a laser focus. During the final run, I slowed things down to slash every rooftop mascot. I had a couple of close calls, but once that was complete, I finished one more instance of Skyblazing, wrapping up all Genkibowl VII activities. The next DLC is Gangstas In Space, which, in my opinion, is the weakest out of the 3. Here, the boss makes their acting debut in the film Gangstas In Space, co-starring up-and-comer Jenny, who plays the alien Quilana. The real issue is with the film's director, Andy Zen, who praises everything we do while being an absolute jerk to Jenny, a dynamic that's clear right from the first mission. Our opening mission has us rescuing Quilana from the military. Andy isn't happy with the first take, envisioning something bigger and bolder. In the next take, we jump out of a helicopter, landing on a parachute target for a trophy.
Enough with the explosions!
Rescuing Quilana again, we escape the military base in a chopper, which eventually crashes. From there, we steal a bulldog and fend off our pursuers. Amid the chaos, I accidentally killed 15 cameramen who got caught in the crossfire. Things escalate further when Quilana's people show up in spacecrafts. However, I shot down all 20 before the scene ended.
Most of you, not naming names.
The next mission puts us in a spaceship to take down space Amazons and destroy a mind control device. Armed with futuristic weapons, I racked up kills with the pistol to take out 35 Amazons, and another 7 with melee attacks. Between shootouts and hacking sequences, we return to the set to collect 6 hidden clipboards.
Looks like Mars, though.
In the final stretch, we face Space Brutina, who delivers a brutal smackdown. Keeping my distance this time around, I eventually landed the finishing blow. During the final mission, we use an alien ship to destroy transmitter shields and upload a virus. The trophies here are pretty simple, and I snagged one for taking out 10 enemy ships while the cameras rolled. I got another for completing all 3 vehicle stunts during the shoot. I did panic toward the end, thinking I missed one, but the final stunt didn't happen until the end of the mission.
To death? We'll get blown to hell!
With Earth saved, Jenny finally snaps at Andy, killing him and wrapping up the Gangstas In Space DLC. The final DLC, Trouble with Clones, picks up after the death of Johnny Gat. Jimmy, a super fan of the Saints, creates a clone of Johnny that inevitably gets loose in Steelport. Seeking our help, Pierce and I check out places Johnny might go, like Friendly Fire and Technically Legal. It's here at the strip club where police have the place surrounded, which is when I took out 15 of them with melee attacks. Jimmy joins us and we're thrown into a chaotic car chase. Oddly, I struggled with this part in the remaster because of Jimmy's awful driving, but this time around, I breezed through it. Maybe I got lucky, but at least it spared me the headache. As we raced through the city, blockades and waves of police vehicles came at us. Blasting away everything in sight, I destroyed 45 police and SWAT cars from Jimmy's car. Coming to a dead end, the chase ends with Johnny escaping, wrapping up the first mission. In the second mission, we stage a performance at Planet Saints to draw Johnny out. Pierce dresses up as Aisha while I inexplicably wear a B-suit. Defending Pierce from crazed fans while he sings a throwback song from Saints Row 1.
Like my check did back in the day, before I got this paper, before I got paid, you know.
I sprayed 25 rabid fans with the Swarmatron. Things ramp up when Johnny arrives with the Steelport Guard. With an RPG in hand, I destroyed 5 of their helicopters. Reunited with a clone version of Aisha, she is quickly killed by the military, sending him on another rampage. The final mission takes things up a notch. Johnny knocks me out, and I wake up feeling different. Thanks to Jimmy's improved Saints Flow formula, I gain superpowers. We're able to super sprint, throw fireballs, and have super powered punches. Making my way through Steelport, I tested these powers against the police and the Morningstar, shooting down a helicopter with a fireball, and killing a brute with only melee attacks. The climax unfolds on a bridge where I protect Johnny from the military while aboard a helicopter. For the Johnny Guard trophy, I had to prevent Johnny from taking any damage, which initially made me nervous. Luckily, Johnny proved to be a tank, soaking up hits without issue. With Johnny safe, this wraps up the DLC, giving me the final trophy for Saints Row III. After 35 hours of revisiting the world of Steelport, I can confidently say I enjoyed every minute earning this platinum again. I wasn't sure how I'd feel replaying this game after earning the platinum for Saints Row 4 a while back, but the fun was still there, even without the superpowers. While the third may not be my favorite game in the series, it was an absolute blast from start to finish, and is a special game for getting me hooked on the franchise in the first place. As the first Saints Row game on PlayStation to feature a trophy list, I think it's the best to do it in the series so far. Much like Saints Row 4, it encourages you to engage with every facet of the game and explore mechanics and features I might have otherwise ignored. Even that 30-hour trophy feels manageable thanks to the sheer volume of content that will keep trophy hunters and everyone else busy for hours on end. Saints Row III might be a divisive game in the series, but there's no denying that the amount of fun this game has to offer is arguably unmatched, making this an incredibly fun experience to platinum again.